actionfiguresresource.com.
This is a Top 10 Transformers Figure Countdown for Action Figure Resource. I will preface this by stating the obvious that if I could choose 10 masterpiece editions, I absolutely would. However, in the interest of variety, I have kept it to just 2 of those and examined my 10 favourites from over the years. First up at 10, we have from the Revoltech line, Megatron himself. Now, the original G1 version looks a little awkward these days, and the masterpiece is wonderful, and there are a bunch of other Megatrons from over the years, including a tank, a T-Rex, and a dragon, but this tiny, superposable and non-transforming guy manages within his diminutive frame to approximate the arrogant menace of the crazed and cunning Decepticon leader as seen on the original show and the 1986 movie. Next up at 9 comes his unbeloved lieutenant, the backstabbing, skullduggerous Starscream. This 2008 reissue of the 2006 Deluxe edition manages to capture what was great about the elegant G1 version, whilst adding a physicality that had been absent from the boxy original Seeker Jets, along with that bright, memorable colouring and pompous face. From that same 2006 line at 8 we have Bumblebee. Now, this was released just before the first live-action movie, but still manages to strike a balance between the original, the cinematic insectoid, and the War for Cybertron video game character. Most of all, he looks like he does in the IDW comics, and retains that fresh approachability that made him a favourite with kids back then and right now. He also sports a trailer with a jet ski that turns into a jetpack, so it's win-win. From the aforementioned War for Cybertron video game series, specifically the Fall of Cybertron line, it's Grimlock at 7. Once again, a recurring theme here is balancing retaining the abiding image we have of a character and updating him with modern figure creating techniques. Still fearsome and proud, Grimlock here looks ready to savage any Decepticon attackers. A very personal one at 6 just so happens to be the very first Transformer I ever received, Powerglide. He was in my Christmas stocking in 1985, and probably more special because I got to open him up on Christmas Eve. Amazingly simple and easy for young fingers to deftly transform, a small plane makes for a great and very mobile child's plaything. Though I always did wonder why the heat-sensitive insignias adorned these bots, as it was obvious, and marked with further stickers, which army they belonged to. At 5 from the Revoltech line, also known as Alternators, comes Jazz. Originally in the Diaclone line, this guy turned into a Porsche 935 Turbo. This version's alt mode is a highly detailed scale Mazda RX-8. Now this guy, like most of the Alternators line, came out with a plain paint finish. In this case, simple white plastic, which makes him seem both plain and a little naked. However, you can acquire custom stickers to make him more closely resemble that awesome and classic original. At 4 comes one of my all-time favourite characters, Bulkhead, from the brilliant Transformers Prime animated show. Both rowdy and rambunctious, and a little unsure of himself, and his place in the Autobots. Bulk knows how to do one thing, and that's wreck stuff. It's watching him try to do anything else that proves his character, and this first edition, especially the Japanese Takara version in a darker green, shows off his impressive frame in a surprisingly elegant bot. From that same show comes my number 3, the cantankerous Dr. Ratchet, played in Prime by the legendary reanimator himself, Jeffrey Combs. All of the Prime figures have a neat little final transformation that makes their head pop up. Couple that with some really dynamic poses that you can reach with the clever joints on display here, and you have a near perfect transforming ambulance. It's resplendent of a true action figure evolution from the rigid robots of yesteryear. Bring a paintbrush and some exceptional skill if you want to make his body appear closer to his on-screen counterpart. At number 2, I searched far and wide for a Soundwave that was even remotely close to being as cool as the Masterpiece Edition. But here is the one concession you'll have to allow me. The Toys R Us Masterpiece Edition version comes complete with Laserbeak, Ravage, Buzzsaw, Frenzy, and Rumble, and even their little pile drivers. This guy looks like he stepped off not only the cartoon screen, but the comic and the box art, fulfilling a promise of technical perfection so rarely met by the end product. transform him into a cassette recorder, and show that to small children, regaling them from the comfort of a rocking chair with stories of magnetized information tape. Before we move on to number 1, I'd like to give a shout out to 2 Decepticons who didn't quite make the grade. Blitzwing, the plain tank robot triple changer, who looked awesome in any mode, especially this generation's update, and Giant Green, the third-party version of Devastator from Make Toys. This guy's actually more impressive than any Hasbro or Takara version of the combining Titan, and at $350, he should be. And finally, at number 1, it of course had to be Optimus Prime. And I have chosen the 20th anniversary edition from 2005, based on his appearance in the 1986 animated movie. Now, it may seem like a cliche, but I would rather give credit where it's due. I could not ask for anything more in an Optimus. He has his hand cannon, an attachable light axe, astonishing detail and posability, metal chest plates with a light-up matrix of leadership inside, and a glorious alternate mode of that pay-to-build truck that we all know and love. It is a transformer to stand in hushed awe before. Nostalgic perfection held within the frame of a mighty warrior. Now, I must have missed many of your favourites with this list. I had to turn away so many that got so close. I wanted to include examples from every series, but there have been more than 10, so I went for a personal mix. It's time for you guys to tell us yours, which you can do in the comments. Beast Wars fans represent, and Decepticon lovers everywhere balance those scales from this Autobot and G1 heavy list. Also, younger viewers who knew a completely different line of Transformers, make your voices heard. Tell us why Animated was great, or Unicron, or Energon, or Cybertron, or Beast Machines. Now be sure to check out our 2-part Generation 1 collecting guide for a brief history of the franchise. I am Alex Shaw, and I'll be back for more guides, histories, top 10s, reviews, and interviews very soon with Action Figure Resource.
Action Figures Resource. ActionFiguresResource.com